The rain pounded Ellie Harper's windshield, blurring the glow of the mansion ahead. She sat frozen in her beat-up sedan, fingers tight on the steering wheel. Daniel Carter's voice replayed in her mind, low and steady. Come to our home. A millionaire she'd never met, whose daughter she'd been tutoring for weeks, had invited her, a small-town teacher scraping by on late bills and diner tips, into his world. Why her? Why now? Her gaze dropped to the crumpled note in her lap, fallen from Lila's math book just minutes ago. In a child's uneven scrawl, it read, "Don't tell Dad." Ellie's stomach twisted. What was Lila hiding? And why did stepping through that mansion's door feel like crossing a line she couldn't uncross? The dashboard clock blinked 5:58 p.m. 2 minutes to decide. Ellie's life was a patchwork of long hours at Lincoln Middle School, a leaky apartment, and her mom's mounting medical bills. Her car coughed like it was on its last mile, and her heart still ached from a breakup 2 years ago that had left her wary of trust. Yet here she was, outside the Carter mansion, because of a 12-year-old girl who'd slipped past her defenses. Lila Carter had shown up in Ellie's after-school tutoring 2 months ago, her math grades slipping and her eyes carrying a quiet sadness. Ellie stayed late for her, unpaid, because Lila's small smiles were worth more than the diner shift she missed. But tonight wasn't tutoring at school. Tonight, she'd been invited to their home, and that note in her pocket changed everything. Ellie shoved it into her jeans, grabbed her tote bag stuffed with lesson plans and granola bars, and stepped into the rain. Her sneakers soaked through as she hurried up the oak-lined path. The mansion loomed, its windows glowing like a beacon. Before she could knock, the door flew open, and Lila stood there, dark curls bouncing, eyes bright with relief. "Miss Harper, you came." Lila grabbed her hand, pulling her inside. The foyer hit Ellie like a wave. Marble floors, a chandelier sparkling like a frozen firework. Her thrift store sweater felt like a costume, the chalk dust on her hands a mark of her world. "Wow, Lila," she managed. "This place is a lot." Lila giggled, tugging her toward a living room that could swallow Ellie's apartment whole. "Wait till you see the kitchen. Dad burns toast like every day." "Lila," a voice called, warm but firm. Ellie turned, and there he was, Daniel Carter. Tall, with dark hair graying at the temples. He wore a sweater that probably cost more than her rent. His eyes held a weight, but they softened when they met hers, stirring something in her chest she wasn't ready to name. "Miss Harper," he said, extending a hand. "Ellie, right? Thanks for coming." She shook his hand, her palm clammy. "Yeah, nice to meet you." His smile was disarming, not the polished grin of a man whose name was on half the town's billboards. "I hope the rain didn't make the drive too bad." "It's fine," Ellie said, though her car's wipers had barely kept up. Lila bounced between them. "Can we start? I want to show Miss Harper my room." "Math first," Daniel said, his tone gentle but final. He glanced at Ellie. "Dining room okay?" "It's quieter." She nodded, following Lila to a mahogany table that gleamed under soft lights. As they settled in, Ellie stole glances at Daniel. He lingered nearby, flipping through papers, but his attention kept drifting to them, to her. The session went smoothly. Lila tackled fractions with less frustration than usual, thanks to Ellie's knack for turning numbers into stories. "Imagine you're splitting a pizza," Ellie said, sketching slices on a notepad. "You get 3/8, but your friend wants half. What's fair?" Lila grinned. "Give him the crust." Ellie laughed, and from the corner of her eye, she saw Daniel pause, watching them. His expression was unreadable, but it sent a warmth through her she hadn't felt since her last relationship crashed, leaving her to rebuild alone. Over the next hour, Ellie guided Lila through improper fractions, her patience coaxing the girl's confidence. Lila's chatter filled the gaps, stories about her cat, her favorite art class, the thunderstorm that had kept her up last week. Ellie listened, offering small encouragements, and slipped her a granola bar when she noticed Lila's energy dip. "You're the best, Miss Harper," Lila said, munching happily. "Just doing my job," Ellie replied, but her heart swelled. When the session ended, Daniel reappeared, leaning against the doorway. "You're good with her," he said quietly. "She hasn't laughed like that in a while." Ellie shrugged, embarrassed. She's a great kid. She is. But it's more than that. She trusts you. He hesitated, fiddling with his watch, a nervous habit Ellie noticed. I know this is last minute, but would you stay for dinner? Lila would love it. And honestly, so would I. Ellie's heart skipped. Dinner? Here? The note in her pocket felt heavier. Don't tell Dad. She should say no, keep things professional, keep her distance. But Lila's hopeful face appeared behind Daniel, and Ellie's resolve crumbled. Okay, she said, just for a bit. Dinner was simple, spaghetti with store-bought sauce, which Daniel admitted he hadn't burned this time. Lila chattered about school. Daniel shared stories of his college days in Columbus, and Ellie found herself relaxing, laughing at his dry humor. He asked about her life, her teaching, her love for chamomile tea, and listened like he meant it. Each time their eyes met, a spark flickered, and Ellie wondered if he felt it too. But the note nodded her. What was Lila hiding? And why had Daniel invited her here? Really? As they cleared plates, Daniel's hand brushed hers, and their eyes locked. You're not what I expected, he said softly. What did you expect? She asked, half teasing, half curious. Someone less real. His smile held a flicker of something, guilt, maybe, or grief. Before she could respond, Lila ran in, clutching a photo album. Miss Harper, look. This is Mom. Ellie's breath caught. The woman in the photo was stunning, with Lila's curls and a smile that lit the page. Daniel's face tightened, and he excused himself to the kitchen, his steps quick. Lila whispered, he gets sad about her. Don't tell him I showed you. Ellie nodded, the note burning in her pocket. She glanced at Daniel's silhouette in the kitchen, a man carrying a loss she couldn't fathom. Lila's secret, whatever it was, felt like a wedge between them all. As she drove home through the rain, the mansion's lights fading in her rear view, Ellie's mind raced. Daniel's invitation, Lila's note, the photo of a woman gone too soon, it all swirled together, pulling her into something bigger than tutoring. Something that scared her as much as it drew her in. The note stayed in her pocket, unopened since she'd found it. Tomorrow, she'd talk to Lila alone. She had to know what the girl was hiding, and why it felt like the answer might change everything. Ellie's sneakers squeaked on the school's polished floor as she hurried to her classroom, the crumpled note still tucked in her pocket. Lila's words, "Don't tell Dad," had kept her up half the night, tangled with thoughts of Daniel's quiet smile and the photo of his late wife. What was Lila hiding? And why did Ellie feel like she was stepping into something she wasn't ready for? The previous evening at the Carter mansion had left her unsettled. Daniel's invitation, the warmth of their dinner, the brush of his hand, it all lingered, stirring feelings she'd buried after her last heartbreak. But Lila's note was a shadow over it all, a secret that felt like a ticking clock. By noon, Ellie found Lila lingering near the classroom door, her math book clutched tight. The girl's usual spark was dim, her eyes darting nervously. Ellie knelt beside her. Hey, kiddo, you okay? Lila nodded, but her fingers twisted the strap of her backpack. Can we talk? Alone. Ellie's heart thudded. Of course. After tutoring, okay. The day dragged, each tick of the classroom clock amplifying Ellie's unease. When the final bell rang, Lila stayed behind, and Ellie shut the door. What's going on, Lila? Lila hesitated, then pulled a folded drawing from her pocket. It was a sketch of a woman with dark curls, standing in a garden. This is Mom, Lila whispered. I draw her so I don't forget her face. But Dad, he gets so sad when I talk about her. I heard him crying in his study last week. Ellie's throat tightened. So the note, "Don't tell Dad," was about this? Lila nodded. I didn't want him to know I'm scared I'll forget her. He'd blame himself. Ellie exhaled, relief mixing with ache. She pulled Lila into a gentle hug. You're not forgetting her, sweetheart, and it's okay to miss her. Lila sniffled. You won't tell Dad, right? Not unless you want me to, Ellie promised. The weight of the note lifted, but new questions took its place. Why was Lila carrying this alone? And why did Daniel seem so guarded about his grief? That evening, Ellie returned to the Carter mansion for another tutoring session. The rain had cleared, leaving the air crisp, but her nerves were frayed. She needed to focus on Lila, not the way Daniel's presence made her pulse race. Lila greeted her with a brighter smile, as if their talk had loosened something in her. They settled at the dining table, diving into decimals, but Ellie's mind wandered to Daniel. He appeared midway through, carrying 2 mugs of chamomile tea. "Thought you might need this," he said, setting one in front of her. "Thanks," Ellie said, her fingers brushing his as she took the mug. The touch sent a spark through her, and she looked away, focusing on Lila's worksheet. Daniel lingered, watching them. "You make this look easy," he said, nodding at the math problems. Ellie laughed softly. "It's just practice. Lila's getting the hang of it." "She's lucky to have you," he said, and his tone was so earnest it caught her off guard. As the weeks passed, tutoring became a routine, twice a week at the mansion, with Daniel joining them more often. He'd sit nearby, pretending to work, but Ellie caught him stealing glances. Their conversations grew longer, spilling past math into small, shared moments. Her stories of teaching mishaps, his tales of building his business from nothing. Each time, the space between them seemed to shrink, charged with unspoken possibilities. But Ellie saw the cracks too. Daniel's smiles faded when Lila mentioned her mom. He'd change the subject or leave the room, his shoulders tense. Ellie wanted to ask, to understand, but something held her back. Her own fear of getting too close, of opening a door she'd closed after her ex walked away. One evening, as Lila packed up, Daniel caught Ellie alone in the dining room. "Can I ask you something?" he said, his voice low. Her stomach flipped. "Sure. Why do you do this?" "Stay late, give Lila snacks, make her laugh. You're not just a teacher to her." Ellie fidgeted with her pen. "She's a kid who needs someone. I know what that's like." He tilted his head, curious. "You do?" She hesitated. "My dad left when I was her age. Mom worked double shifts. I had a teacher who stayed late, listened. It mattered." Daniel's eyes softened. "You're paying it forward." Something like that. He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, woodsy, warm. "Ellie, Lila burst in, holding a sketch pad. "Miss Harper, look. I drew you." The moment broke, but Daniel's gaze lingered, heavy with something unsaid. The drawing showed Ellie at a chalkboard, smiling, with Lila beside her. "This is amazing," Ellie said, her voice thick. Later, as they ate takeout pizza, Daniel's attempt at cooking had ended in a smoky kitchen. Lila fell asleep on the couch, her sketch pad open. Ellie and Daniel sat at the table, the air quiet but not empty. "She's never shown anyone her drawings," Daniel said, glancing at his daughter. "Not since—" He didn't finish, but Ellie knew. "Her mom." He nodded, his jaw tight. "It's been 3 years. I thought it'd get easier." "I'm sorry," Ellie said, meaning it. "Lila misses her too." Daniel looked at her, surprised. "She talks to you about her?" "A little." Ellie chose her words carefully, mindful of Lila's secret. "She's trying to hold on to her." He ran a hand through his hair, his watch glinting. "I've been so caught up in work, in keeping things together. I didn't see how much she's hurting." Ellie reached out, her hand resting on his arm before she could stop herself. "You're doing your best. She knows you love her." His eyes met hers, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just them. "Thank you, Ellie, for seeing her, for seeing us." Her heart raced, but doubt crept in. Was she reading too much into this? Into him? The next session, everything changed. Ellie arrived to find Daniel pacing the foyer, his face pale. Lila was upstairs, he said, not feeling well. "Can we talk?" he asked, leading her to his study. The room was all dark wood and books, a photo of Lila's mom on the desk. Daniel shut the door. "I found something in Lila's room," he said, holding up a notebook. "Letters. To her mom. She's been writing them, hiding them." Ellie's chest tightened. Lila's secret wasn't hers to share, but Daniel's eyes were desperate. "She's processing," Ellie said carefully. "Kids do that in their own way. But why didn't she tell me?" His voice cracked. "Am I failing her?" "No," Ellie said firmly. "You're not. She's just scared of making you sad." Daniel sank into a chair, head in his hands. "I've been so afraid of losing her too. I didn't see what she needed." Ellie knelt beside him, her hand hovering before resting on his shoulder. "You're seeing it now. That's what matters." He looked up, their faces inches apart. "How do you do this? Make it seem so simple." "It's not simple," she whispered. "But you're not alone." For a moment, She thought he might close the distance, might kiss her. Her breath caught, wanting it, fearing it. Then his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He glanced at it, his face hardening. It's work. I have to take this. Ellie stood, her cheeks warm. I'll check on Lila. Upstairs, Lila was curled in bed, her eyes red. I heard Dad, she said. He found my letters. He's not mad, Ellie said, sitting beside her. He's worried. He loves you. Lila nodded, tears spilling. I just miss Mom. I know, sweetheart. Ellie held her, her own eyes stinging. When she returned downstairs, Daniel was off the phone, standing by the window. Is she okay? He asked. She will be, Ellie said. Just keep talking to her. He nodded, then stepped closer. Ellie, I need to tell you something. About my wife. Her heart stopped. What? She wasn't perfect. We had problems. I've let guilt eat me up, thinking I could have fixed things. He swallowed hard. But you make me think I can move forward. The words hung between them, raw and heavy. Ellie's mind spun. Was he saying what she thought? Before she could speak, the doorbell rang, a sharp, insistent buzz. Daniel frowned, checking his watch. I wasn't expecting anyone. He opened the door, and a woman stood there, polished and poised, her smile too bright. Daniel, she said. It's been too long. Ellie's stomach dropped. Who was she? And why did Daniel look like he'd seen a ghost? Ellie stood frozen in the Carter Mansion's foyer, her heart thudding as the woman at the door smiled at Daniel. It's been too long, the woman said, her voice smooth, her tailored coat dripping with rain. She was polished, poised, like she belonged in this world of marble and chandeliers. Daniel's face was pale, his jaw tight, as if the past had just walked through the door. Who was she? And why did Ellie feel like the ground was slipping beneath her? The woman stepped inside, uninvited, her heels clicking on the marble. You didn't return my calls, Daniel, she said, a teasing edge to her tone. Claire, he said, his voice low, strained. This isn't a good time. Ellie's stomach twisted. Claire. The name hit like a stone. She glanced at Lila, who'd crept downstairs, her eyes wide with confusion. Dad, Lila whispered. Daniel turned, his expression softening for his daughter. Lila, go upstairs, okay? I'll be up soon. Lila hesitated, glancing at Ellie, then obeyed, her footsteps fading. Ellie wanted to follow, to escape the tension thickening the air, but her feet stayed rooted. Ellie, Daniel said, turning to her. This is Claire, my sister-in-law. Ellie's breath caught. Sister-in-law, Lila's mother's sister. The pieces clicked. Claire must be the aunt Lila mentioned once, the one who lived in Chicago and rarely visited. But why was she here now? And why did Daniel look like he'd been caught in a trap? Claire's smile didn't reach her eyes. And you must be the teacher Lila's so fond of. Ellie, is it? Yeah, Ellie said, her voice steadier than she felt. Nice to meet you. Claire's gaze swept over Ellie's worn sweater and damp sneakers, a flicker of judgment passing through her eyes. I heard you've been helping Lila. That's kind of you. Ellie nodded, unsure how to respond. The air felt charged, like a storm about to break. Daniel cleared his throat. Claire, what do you want? She raised an eyebrow. To see my niece, of course. And to talk. We have unfinished business, don't we? Daniel's jaw tightened, but he gestured toward the living room. Ellie, I'm sorry. I need to handle this. Can we talk later? Sure, Ellie said, though her chest ached. She grabbed her tote bag, the weight of the evening pressing on her. As she stepped into the rain, Claire's voice echoed behind her. You can't keep avoiding this, Daniel. Driving home, Ellie's mind spun. Daniel's confession about his wife, the guilt he carried, the way he'd looked at her, like she was a lifeline, now felt overshadowed by Claire's arrival. Was there more to his past than he'd let on? And why did Ellie care so much? The next morning, Ellie found Lila at school, quieter than usual. They sat in the empty classroom, the hum of the heater filling the silence. Who was that lady? Lila asked, picking at her notebook. Your aunt, right? Ellie said gently. Your mom's sister? Lila nodded. She used to visit when Mom was here, but Dad doesn't like her. They fought a lot. Ellie's heart sank. Do you know why? Lila shrugged. Something about Mom's stuff. Aunt Claire wanted to take me to Chicago once, but Dad said no. Ellie squeezed Lila's hand. You don't have to worry about that. Your dad's got you. But Lila's words stayed with Ellie through the day. When she returned to the mansion that evening, the air felt different, tense, like a string pulled too tight. Daniel greeted her at the door, his eyes tired but warm. Thanks for coming, he said. Lila's upstairs. I need to apologize for last night. You don't owe me anything, Ellie said, though her curiosity burned. I do, he said, leading her to the kitchen. He poured 2 mugs of chamomile tea, his hands unsteady. Claire's been a complication since my wife passed. She thinks I'm not raising Lila right, that I'm too focused on work. She's been pushing to take Lila for months. Ellie's breath hitched. Take her? Like legally? Daniel nodded, his face grim. She's family, so she has some ground. But Lila belongs here. I can't lose her. You won't, Ellie said, her voice firm. Lila loves you. She needs you. He looked at her, his eyes searching. You really believe that? I do, she said, and the words felt like a promise. Their hands brushed as he passed her the tea, and the spark from weeks ago flared again. But this time, Ellie didn't pull away. Daniel, she said softly, you're not alone in this. I'll help however I can. His gaze held hers, raw and unguarded. Why do you keep doing this? Helping us. Because I'm falling for you, she wanted to say, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, she said, because you and Lila matter to me. For a moment, they stood there, the kitchen warm and quiet. Then Lila's voice called from upstairs, breaking the spell. Miss Harper, I need help with decimals. Ellie laughed, the tension easing. Duty calls. The next few weeks were a blur of tutoring sessions and late-night talks with Daniel. Claire's shadow lingered. She'd been calling, sending letters, even visiting once more, her presence a constant reminder of Daniel's fears. But Ellie and Daniel grew closer, their bond forged in small acts of kindness. Ellie bringing homemade cookies, Daniel fixing her car's wiper blades after a storm. Each moment felt like a step toward something neither was ready to name. One evening, as snow dusted the mansion's lawn, Ellie arrived to find Daniel pacing. Claire's coming tomorrow, he said. She's bringing a lawyer. Ellie's heart sank. What does she want? Custody, he said, his voice breaking. She thinks Lila's better off with her in Chicago. Ellie's mind raced. You need to show them Lila's happy here. Her grades are up. She's drawing again. She's healing. Daniel nodded, but his eyes were distant. I've been so afraid of failing her, I didn't see how far she's come. Because of you. Ellie blushed. It's not just me. It is, he said, stepping closer. Ellie, I don't know what this is between us, but I don't want to lose it. Her breath caught. Before she could respond, Lila ran in, holding a new drawing, a family with 3 figures. It's us, Lila said shyly. You, me, and Dad. Ellie's eyes stung. Daniel's hand found hers, squeezing gently, and for the first time, she let herself hope. The next day, Claire arrived with a lawyer, her demeanor cold and businesslike. The meeting was tense, held in Daniel's study, with Ellie there for moral support. Claire argued Lila needed stability, a fresh start. Daniel countered with Lila's progress, her grades, her art, her laughter. Ellie spoke up, her voice steady, about Lila's growth, her trust, her love for her dad. The lawyer listened, taking notes. Claire's confidence faltered, her eyes narrowing at Ellie. You're not family, she said sharply. No, Ellie said, but I care about Lila. The meeting ended inconclusively, but Claire left without Lila, promising to return. That night, Daniel and Ellie sat on the porch, the winter air sharp. You were incredible today, he said. So were you, she replied, her breath visible in the cold. He turned to her, his eyes soft. Ellie, I meant what I said. I don't want to lose this, us. Her heart raced. Me neither. But I'm scared. I've been hurt before. So have I, he said. But maybe we can figure out together. He leaned in, and this time there was no interruption. Their lips met, soft and tentative, a promise of something new. When they pulled back, Ellie smiled, her fears still there but quieter. Months later, spring bloomed, and Claire's visits stopped. Lila's happiness, documented by teachers and counselors, had swayed the courts. Ellie still tutored Lila, But she was more than a teacher now. She and Daniel took it slow, navigating their pasts, their fears, and the challenges of blending their lives. Some days were hard. Ellie's bills piled up, Daniel's work pulled him away. But they faced it together, anchored by small moments. Lila's drawings, shared teas, quiet nights on the porch. One evening, as they watched Lila sketch in the garden, Daniel took Ellie's hand. "This is our second chance," he said. "I'm not letting it go." "Me neither," Ellie whispered, and for the first time, she believed it. If this story touched you, comment where you're from and subscribe to the channel.